Let's just say it. 2024 was chaos. It turned the business world upside down, shook the snow globe and said, good luck out there. And now in 2025, CEOs are scrambling. They're desperately trying to adjust to a new buying behavior that looks nothing like it did 12 months ago. And we're seeing slower sales cycles, buyers ghosting high ticket offers, and what used to work, that trusty funnel, that proven challenge, that go-to webinar, crickets. Because buyers are different now. They're smarter, they're faster, they're more skeptical and less patient. So if your marketing isn't landing, your sales feel like an uphill battle, and you're wondering, did I miss the memo on how to sell in this new economy? This episode is your memo. I'm going to give you the no fluff, straight up, high ticket in 2025 playbook and the 3 core areas to focus on so your business doesn't just survive the shift, it dominates it. And we're diving into the certainty system, the things you actually need to attract high ticket clients today so that you can craft messaging that speaks only to those fully committed high intent buyers, aka the ones who are ready to say yes, and why some businesses are dominating and some are falling behind in this AI revolution by leveraging innovation to their advantage. And I'll talk to you about decision systems that actually make buying feel like a no-brainer without the fluff, long funnels, or drawn-out sales cycles. So grab your coffee or your cocktail, because I don't judge. This isn't about working harder. It's about getting smarter with how premium clients are buying right now. Let's jump in. Now, hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. Last week, we talked about how to actually create demand using the jackpot effect and why this is the answer to positioning your offer like a category creating solution so that when the right buyer sees it, their first thought is, that's exactly what I've been looking for. Now, this week, we're going to take it one step further because sparking demand is only the beginning. Now, we're going to dive into how to turn that demand into certainty and certainty into action with a system that makes high intent buyers move now, not later. So let's get real. You want a business that thrives, and not just here and there when things are good in the economy, but one that's successful regardless of what's happening in the world. And you want that without needing to reinvent yourself and your marketing every 5 minutes. And you want really freaking good clients who value your expertise and want to pay handsomely for that expertise, where people say things like, well, duh, of course I'm in. I don't care what it costs. This is the thing I've been looking for. And no, it's not a pipe dream, but I am going to keep it real that this is going to require a completely different approach to make this happen. And likely a lot of unlearning on your part. So buckle up, because this episode isn't about theory. It's about how to actually get that result consistently. And here's the kicker. If you don't update your strategy to match how people are buying in 2025 and beyond, your business becomes background noise. And that's not just a marketing problem. That's a revenue problem, a time problem. I'm questioning everything and Googling job listings at 2 a.m. kind of problem. And we don't want that, because I want you to walk away from today's episode with clarity around the why people buy, and more importantly, how to set up your business for success, not just for now, but for decades to come. Because the last thing you need right now is to question your offers, your pricing, or even your marketing. So before we talk about how to fix this, you need to understand why this shift happened in the first place. Because this isn't just a weird blip in the market. This is a full-blown behavior change. In 2024, we saw 4 big things collide. Number 1, information overload. There's so much content, too many experts, too many options. Then buyers have been buried in free advice, and it's made them more skeptical, not more convinced. Not to mention AI taking over our feeds. It's become increasingly difficult to distinguish experts from AI robots. But your buyers don't want more information. They want clarity and expertise that changes the way that they think and operate. Now, the second thing is ROI fatigue. So buyers in 2022 and 2023 invested in things that just didn't deliver on the promises they made. They joined programs, they signed contracts, they didn't see the return they wanted. So now they're cautious. They're not broke, they're just more discerning. So they're looking for certainty and not just empty hype. Now, the third thing that happened is there was this end to frivolous spending. Now, let's be honest, there was this window of time when people were spending like crazy. They were buying offers they didn't actually really need and jumping into courses, memberships, programs, just because they felt like it. And back then, things like challenges and FOMO heavy tactics, they worked because people were buying based on curiosity or hype and not necessity. But when the market tightened, so did their wallets. Now, buyers are asking, do I really need this? Is this the smartest use of my time and money? Will this give me a result that I actually care about? So if your marketing is still designed to excite the maybe buyers, you're going to keep hearing crickets from the committed ones. Now, the fourth thing is that time became the new currency. See, people aren't just guiding their money, they're guarding their attention. They don't want long funnels, big energy launches, or 5-day challenges. They want clarity, they want certainty, and they want a shortcut to that result. So if your strategy is built around warming people up instead of getting them sold, you're going to lose the sale. So what are most businesses doing right now to try and respond to this shift? They're doubling down on strategies that actually slow down the sale. So things like long nurture cycles. They're basing this idea that people need more touch points to buy, but spoiler, they don't. They just need the right ones. Or they're creating heavier educational content. We see it everywhere. The teach before you sell approach that hopes conversions will magically appear after months of free trainings. But backdoor selling never works on high intent buyers. Or the 90-minute webinars that no one actually has time for. And honestly, people have become immune to them because we've all seen this show before. Or endless value stacking. You know the pitch. And if you sign up today, you'll also get this 4-hour bonus series on how to breathe like a CEO. All of these things that are based on this fact that urgency equals faster decisions. And of course, this obsession with low ticket offers as the magical gateway to high ticket clients. Everywhere you turn, another ad saying that the answer to high ticket clients is building a low ticket funnel. Sounds backwards, right? But spoiler alert, someone who buys a $27 ebook doesn't mean that they're suddenly going to drop 10K on your premium program. Not to mention, do you really want to convince people every single step of the way? The real problem, all of these strategies are built with one completely false belief that time equals trust, that the longer someone stays in your world, the more likely they are to buy. So we build everything around that idea. But in 2024, that equation is broken because people don't buy because enough time has passed. They buy because certainty has been created. Think about it in your own life. Think of a decision that you made that seemed quick to everyone else but felt completely logical to you. Maybe it was getting married after 2 months of dating someone. Maybe it was booking a last-minute flight to Switzerland to watch your favorite band perform, or saying yes to a job offer that just came out of nowhere but felt like the perfect fit. It wasn't time that made that decision easy. It was certainty, that instant spark of hell yes, this is it. So while everyone else is stretching out their funnels, overteaching, and stacking bonuses like it's 2018, the smart businesses are doing the opposite because it's not about nurturing hesitation. It's about building for certainty instead, because your system should be built for the buyers that you want, not the buyers that you have. So if you want premium clients who are making premium decisions right now, you need a certainty system, one that cuts through hesitation, speaks directly to high intent buyers, and speeds up their hell yes moment without the fluff and the waiting game. Okay, this is what is working now, what has worked for years before and will continue to work for years to come. Because when you know how to build certainty quickly and easily, we speed up the trust process, which in turn speeds up the buying process. So here's how it works. Certainty, the kind that makes people say this is exactly what I've been looking for, is the sum of 3 core elements. 3 things that quite literally shape the minds of buyers, create certainty that not only drives conversions, but creates conviction and makes your message so poignant it can't be missed. These aren't tactics. They are the drivers behind the tactics. Because most people are going to build a webinar, the funnel, the content, and then they wonder, why isn't it working? Why doesn't it convert? It's not the webinar that failed. It was that wasn't built on the foundation that actually creates conviction. Without these 3 things, even your best strategies are going to fall flat, and you're left jumping on the next must-have thing when the most recent trend stops working. But with them, success becomes inevitable, no matter the platform, no matter the format, no matter the funnel, no matter the market. So let's break down the 3 elements that drive certainty and turn high intent leads into premium clients fast. So let me start by painting you this picture. Let's pretend that someone stumbles across a post. Just a few lines of text, no funnel, no fancy graphics, no CTA carousel, right? But in 30 seconds, they're hooked. They're clicking, they're DMing, they're buying. Why? Because the message hit. It named something that they'd been trying to articulate but never had the words for. It felt like someone finally saw them, not their problem, but their desire. So there's no long-winded nurture, no educational pre-frame, just one message that made them say, this is what I've been looking for. Where have you been my whole life? Your message is what creates the first spark of certainty, because it's not about how much you say, it's about whether what you say cuts through the noise and lands with clarity. Because high intent buyers are not looking for more information. They're looking for the right words, the ones that make them feel like, that's me, that's what I've been trying to solve, this is what's been missing. Your message is what informs and shapes someone's beliefs, and it has them leaning in, instantly categorizing you as the one who gets it. So the key to certainty messaging is that it doesn't just explain, it reveals. Instead of pushing people, trying to convince them, it shows them what they've always wanted, revealing the answer in a way they've been desperate to understand. So while most people are creating messaging that tries to prove their expertise, certainty messaging isn't about proving anything. It gives language to the desire that your buyers already have, and then it uncovers the clarity they can't seem to find on their own. So let me give you an example so that you can see what it looks like before and after certainty messaging. So before, we might say something like, you need to eat healthier to lose weight. Now that message is trying to convince. It creates this loop of frustration because it's everything they've heard before and they're tired of hearing again. Now on the other side of certainty messaging, we say something like, you don't lack motivation. You're in the gym 6 days a week, but it's the fuel you give your body that turns that effort into results. That's where the fueled furnace diet turns every bite into a fat burning furnace, building muscle at the gym and incinerating fat while you sleep. That is certainty messaging. It doesn't feel like a pitch. It feels like an awakening. It speaks to this natural desire, the action they're currently taking, and the resolution they have desperately been seeking. Because high intent buyers don't need more information. I'll say it again. They need a message that stops them in their tracks and makes them say, that's what I've been missing. That is the power of messaging that creates certainty. Now, I want to be clear, messaging alone is not enough because even the most powerful message will fall flat if people don't see you as the right and only person to deliver it. That's why certainty positioning comes into play. In a world that's dominated by copycats, AI-built businesses, fake experts, people are craving true expertise. The person who doesn't just say the same thing every other expert out there is saying, but the person who challenges the status quo, who has taken the time to understand the market, the untapped needs that buyers are begging for, and has created something that innovates and changes the standard. Because it's not about being more credible, more qualified, or even more experienced. It's about owning a space in someone's mind that no one else occupies. So think about it this way. We don't say adhesive bandage, we say Band-Aid. We don't ask for facial tissue, we ask for a Kleenex. Those brands didn't just market well, they positioned themselves as the first word people associate with a specific problem. That's what certainty positioning does. It makes your method feel like the default solution, the one that people ask for by name because no one else even registers as an option. When you own that mental space, you don't have to convince anyone you're already the answer. So I want you to ask yourself this, and it might be a tough question. If your method vanished tomorrow, would your ideal clients notice or simply move on to the next thing? If you hesitated even for a second, that's your signal that your certainty positioning needs work. Because the truth is, owning your space in someone's mind is what turns curiosity into conviction and conviction into a confident hell yes. Which brings us to our third and final piece of the puzzle in the certainty system, which is decisions. Now, listen, certainty alone does not convert. We know that. It creates the readiness, but it's the decision system that turns that readiness into revenue. So think of it like this. Have you ever opened a tab on your browser because something caught your eye? Then 5 minutes later, you forgot why it's there. You leave it open. You think you're going to come back to it, but eventually you just end up closing it. That's what happens to your buyers when there's no decision system in place. They're interested, they're intrigued, but interest without direction turns into distraction. So your messaging got that tab open. Your positioning got them to stalk the page, but your decision system is what gets them to take action before they click away. It gives your buyers this logical path and an emotional green light. And in 2025, where decision fatigue is real, skepticism is high, and buyers are more informed than ever, clarity, speed, and simplicity closes the deal. So the decision system is where messaging meets movement. And that's the difference between someone being interested and someone buying. The decision system takes certainty in your messaging and positioning that you've already created, and it turns it into a confident, fast-moving yes. That's the answer to having a marketing system that works now and for years to come. No more nurture, no more touch points, just a streamlined psychology-backed path that makes how high-intent buyers actually make decisions today. This is the shift that we're seeing in the market, where we're actually building based on the way they think, the way they act, the way they make decisions. So we're creating certainty through your messaging and positioning, and then we're tapping into the pathway that I naturally go through in order to make a decision. So that's where your decision system comes into place. We're using simple content, whether that's a funnel, a masterclass, whatever you want to build, but you're using your decision system by actually mirroring their natural decision process. So you're not just pumping out information. You're not just giving them more stuff. You're actually guiding the pathway of a decision by understanding their natural pathway to that decision. This is where you don't just chase demand. You don't just chase opportunities. You create them. You build the systematic approach to success that works not just now, but for years and years to come. My clients aren't succeeding because they're jumping on every new trend. They're shifting everything that they do. They're building new offers, new messaging, new everything. They're winning and dominating their markets because they've built a system that works with how people make decisions, that builds that conviction, that drives results. So I want to break down the Easy Yes method and why this is the key to being able to truly dominate your industry and create a pathway that allows people to sell themselves. Now, it starts with 3 key pieces. Number 1 is winning the market, because your best clients, the ones who are actually ready to buy right now, they're not looking for another take on the same thing. They're searching for a breakthrough that makes them say, this is what I've been waiting for. So while most businesses are fighting for attention, smart experts are making their competition irrelevant. Now, our innovative gap methodology helps you uncover and articulate what makes your work truly innovative by pinpointing the gap in the market that only you can fill. That means you're not just another option, you're the only option for high intent, high ticket buyers. So instead of chasing and convincing, you create demand where high end clients seek you out, instantly see your value, and invest without hesitation. This step alone has allowed my clients to 5 to 10x their prices and have clients who line up to work with them. Now, once we have this, the next step is turning your innovative method into a bingeable decision system. So I tackled a little bit about this today, but I want you to think about how Netflix gets you to sit down and binge watch an entire series without taking any breaks, and you become a diehard fan. Now, imagine that your buyers are doing that with you, where they binge their way through your sales system, and with every episode they go through, they become obsessed, selling themselves on you every single step of the way. We call this the bingeable decision system, and it works because we mirror the natural decision process everyone already goes through. So your buyers are able to binge their way through your sales system, coming out so eager, so ready to work with you. They beg to get on your calendar and join your program. No more chasing, no more months of back and forth and feeding your audience so much content your brain hurts. Just a simple system that gets your leads to sell themselves. Now, the third and final piece is actually about delivering on the promises you made. I know that most people don't talk about this, but sustainable businesses understand that marketing alone is not enough. You have to be able to deliver on your promise and actually create raving fans. This is why we've built our Happy Client Machine, the systematic approach that delivers world-class results to your clients at scale without being fully reliant on you. So you can have clients who are singing your praises to anyone they meet while also being able to actually enjoy your life. This is the power behind the Easy Yes method, because you're building your business systems, your strategies, and innovation to take the industry and world by storm, so you become the most talked about and bought from expert. So if you're an action taker and you want to see how the Easy Yes method can be applied inside of your business, I want to invite you to apply for a growth optimization call. On this call, we're going to review your approach to getting consistent clients. I'll specifically show you how to position your work so people are chasing you down, and I'll show you how the Easy Yes method can be applied to your expertise in a bingeable masterpiece. So if you're ready to apply for your call, head on over to easyesleads.com/call. But if you're new around here, or you just want to learn a little bit more about how the Netflix effect actually works to get leads to sell themselves, I want to invite you to check out our free limited time on-demand series that shares the 3-step process that gets your leads to sell themselves. So you can check that out right now, anytime you want, at thenetflixeffect.com. But as always, I hope that you walk away from this episode understanding that it is possible to build a business that's successful in down markets and epidemics and shift and changes in the market without needing you to constantly reinvent yourself. And that truly being able to understand how to create certainty and how to convert certainty is the answer to doing that. Now, as always, if this episode has spoken to you, I would love and appreciate if you could just take 1 minute out of your already busy day to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.